Hi, Shanae. How are you?
I'm good, Anne. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. So I had this idea that, like, for the questions for the first week's blog, we might want to do it like an interview, and that way we can find out what each of us is doing. You
Excellent.
fancy it?
Yeah, sounds like a great idea.
Okay. So the first question: what kinds of topics are you interested in researching?
Well, something to do with figure skating, because as you know, I was a figure skater. I'm currently a figure skating coach and choreographer, so I'm heavily involved in the sport. And in my new job, I'm managing the education programs at Skate Ontario for the province of Ontario. So that's something that I'm interested in researching. And I also was going to mention that, and I haven't looked too far for it, but I have not been able to find a lot of research papers to do with figure skating. So I thought that it might be a good area to look into to maybe start something new and explore. Um, I'm interested in play and that kind of informal learning because in our digital game-based learning course, I did a few projects on play, and I found it very interesting and very applicable to skating, I think, because I believe it happens a lot in the sport. So that's what I'm drawn to. How about you?
Oh, I don't know. I'm interested in lots of different things to research, but I'm really interested in like new academic literacies and maybe what you need in order to access those in a digital context. I'm also interested in alternative ways in which to present academic work, so multimodality. Um, One of the things I'm interested in at the moment is how to provide feedback that will inform and transform students' work. And something that I've been interested in throughout my academic career is performativity. And if I was going to go down that way, I'd be looking at performativity in online spaces and how that might be influenced by teachers or students. But yeah, I don't really know.
Mm. It's hard to.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry?
I was gonna say it's so difficult to narrow something down.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think especially since like we're at the start of the course, well, the start of research methods, and I know we've supposed to be thinking about these for the entire course, but I still just don't really know. So I think that leads us into the next question, which is what initial research questions might be starting to emerge for you? I don't have any, just by the way, so I don't know about you.
No, I don't have any either.
Goodness.
Yeah, no, not at all. In my notes here, it's number 2, and it's blank underneath. So yeah, I don't have any yet.
Yeah. So I know that you were talking about skating,
yes.
And you're interested in researching that. But what are you interested in researching? People, groups, communities, documents, images, or organizations?
I don't think documents for sure. I was interested in working with images, but I wondered whether I could change it to working with video footage. I'm not sure if that's possible or I guess allowed, but I think that could be interesting. I really have no idea what that means, but because as you are probably aware, there's tons of video footage of figure skating throughout the years, which I think would be.
I mean, just from what you say, I don't think that video is any less valid than images. And the fact that like skating is movement, it's not static.
Yeah.
So
it's appropriate. Yeah.
That would be a problem.
Yeah. And I don't really know what that means or what that would look like in a research project, but it's interesting for sure. I was also wondering about looking at communities and groups, because there's a lot of groups within skating. Like there's skaters or athletes, right? Coaches, officials, administration, and just taking athletes for instance. Like I feel, again, from my own experience and years involved with the sport, that athletes behave differently in different groups, right? Like when they're on the ice with their peers or when they're on the ice with their coach, right? There's
Well,
different
that sounds
behavior.
a little bit of like my performativity.
Yeah, exactly. That's true, actually. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or how they behave like in the dressing room, right?
Ooh.
Yeah. There's drama and stuff like that. So that maybe is sounding like an ethnographic study, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I would handle that. But yeah, I think there's lots of interesting
Well,
things.
that would be like serious ethics going down.
Yeah.
What's going on in a steady dressing room?
Yeah, and then going from like young skaters to, more like competitive older skaters, like how the behavior changes over time or, it's
Interesting.
yeah. I'm not sure. How about you?
Well, I must be quite honest. When you said, about documents, I kind of agree. At the moment, I'm still trying to figure out like what I'm interested in researching, but I'm leaning towards the more human side of it, like so people and groups and communities, because I feel like it would be more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, I don't know, I'm a bit of a control freak, so I feel like I might be able to direct where I would like the research to go better. I think with documents or like physical things that you're limited with what they offer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just because I don't know, I'm not 100% sure on it yet. But I just think that you might be limited to what sources are available.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I, too, definitely lean towards human side, right? Looking at people.
Yeah.
Interviews, too, that interests me as well, doing a series of interviews.
Well, that leads us into our next question, because you've now mentioned ethnography and interviews. Do you have initial ideas of the kinds of methods that might help you gather useful knowledge in your area of interest?
Good segue there.
Thanks. I tried.
Well, yes, interviews and ethnography. I'm not sure. I guess, and working with the video, so looking at that. I mean, I'll say images, but images / video, those things. I'm not sure. The ethnography interests me, but I also find it, I don't know, again, with the ethical considerations, I'm not so sure about that one, but it is interesting to me to kind of curate a group of people and conduct some interviews. I think that would be really interesting.
I think one of the things about ethnography, because I'm probably also like I'm leaning towards it as a method, but I think I'm concerned about how tedious it is as well, because it's so involved and there's so much so much data to gather, and that's fine. I'm happy with that, but then it's like interpreting that data. I think that a lot of research is intense, but ethnography just seems to me like it's that little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Yeah, I'm not sure about it.
Yeah.
What? Just going back to my notes here. So do you have any initial questions about those methods?
Well, I mean,
next thing.
I've been looking at the kinds of methods, and I think I'm going to definitely take a mixed methods approach.
Okay.
What that will look like, I'm not 100% sure. I like the idea of ethnography because I think that it provides a researcher a platform for a narrative, and I quite like that idea. Telling a story about something. And also discourse analysis is probably something that I'm more familiar with because I started out as a language teacher.
Right.
And my base is in languages and decoding language. So I think that just, if I was going to stick with something I knew, I would stick with that. Excuse me. There was something that I was looking at yesterday in the MOOC that I also thought was really intriguing, and it had to do with like images as well,
Okay.
and or visual. Can't remember what it's called now, but it was like looking at things visually. And I think if I could put a few mixed methods in place, I'd be really happy with that. I'd be far more comfortable being able to do a little bit of everything instead of like one thing only. Just because I think that I'd be getting better data, and I think I'd be covering more than if I just did one.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It all seems very difficult to nail down and narrow down into those research questions.
Yeah.
That's where I'm really stuck, I think. But I don't even know if we need to be there yet, but maybe not.
Yeah. I was going to say too, one of the next questions is, what initial questions do you have about those methods, or what don't you understand yet?
I think I don't want to really say that I understand any of them really, really well. I think it's something that I keep reading about them and revisiting them. But yeah, I definitely am not going to sit here and say, yes, I definitely understand these three and then not so much these three. It's all of them I really need to look at many times.
It's quite a difficult question, isn't it? Like, what don't you understand yet? It's like, you don't know what you don't know?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I'm gonna say that I probably don't know
either. Yeah, and I think, who was it? It was, I don't know whether it was Jeremy or Rory, like every time you read another paper, you have more questions, or you change your, thinking about something. Yeah. So it's always, I think, in development. If that's an answer, I don't know, but.
Well, we're on our last questions.
Okay.
And, so do you perceive any potential challenges in your initial ideas, either practical challenges such as gaining access to the area you want to research, or the time it might take to gather the data, or conceptual challenges such as how the method you are interested in can produce facts, truth, or valuable knowledge in your chosen area?
Oh, what a tough question. I mentioned to you before the bias, that I always have that in the back of my head, and not that I think it's a bad thing for me to conduct research in an area that I know quite a bit about in skating, broadly speaking, but obviously I will have many, many preconceptions and bias because of just my background in it. So I guess that worries me, but I guess, identifying that and acknowledging it is a start. Gaining access, if I do go ahead with skating, I don't think that I'll have too much trouble gaining access, just because I have a lot of connections and relationships already built in the field. So I don't think that should be a problem. Time is always a problem, right? Just because we never have enough time to do the things we want to do. And I'm not sure with facts, truths, or valuable knowledge. That I'm really unsure. Maybe we could talk through that, or maybe you, if I ask you the same question, you would have something more to elaborate on in that. Because I'm not sure about that part.
Well, I mean, that's what I was saying. It sort of links back to the previous question, I think, I think that if you limit yourself to one method, you are not going to get a result that's completely robust. So I suppose, I don't know, that's how I've sort of looked at it and seen. So I don't know whether they are only expecting us to do one method, or whether we can take a variety of methods. So I don't know, but what I'm sort of worried about is, at the moment I'm working as an instructional designer, which means that I don't really have any face-to-face students for like over a period of time to
Right.
research. I get like workshops.
Okay.
Um, and I worry about like my access, especially with the kinds of things that I was interested in when I spoke about multimodality and feedback and performativity. These are things that you would need to see over a period of time, and I don't necessarily have that in the context that I'm working now. So it might mean that I don't do something I was as interested in. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. And I think, I mean, I know that we've got a long time, that this is just a question, but I'm thinking about if I was going to do a PhD or something, how would I use that in order to feed?
Right, feed into further research. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point to make because I think that's what typically happens, right? That your master's research leads into PhD research. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think those are all their questions. Do you have any other questions?
No, I don't think so. I think this has been a great conversation. I think we should continue it in another blog post. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, no, that sounds good.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much. Great to talk to you today.
Yeah, maybe we could invite others to come and join us if they're interested.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so if you're interested and you'd like to join a hangout with Anne and I and come and be a guest blogger, let us know. We'd be happy to have you.
All right. Thanks, Shanae.
Thanks, Anne.